So get this, back in the 80s, the director of the CIA himself had said, we will know when our disinformation program is complete, when everything the American public believes is false. Or in other words, people don't know what is real. And I want to tell you that the Strait of Hormuz is officially opened. But then I refresh my browser, and from the same people, I'm told the Strait of Hormuz is officially closed. But it's open, but it's closed. I don't really know what it is. I understand you can have satellite apps that track the flow of what's going on, but you have government agencies, governments, countries that are literally not agreeing with what's going on. But we do know one thing is certain. Tensions are on the rise, literally across the world, because the flow of information is going everywhere. But something is happening behind the scenes. Militaries are preparing themselves. The American military is preparing itself, even more so than it already is. The UK military is preparing itself. The Ugandan military is apparently preparing a bunch of soldiers. A lot of stuff is going on. So even though we're in a ceasefire, but not a ceasefire, but it is, but it isn't, we know one thing is for certain. The Strait of Hormuz is open, closed. I don't really know anymore. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, all I ask is that you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because let's all be confused together. Except for this. Artemis is officially landed. The capsule is now back. The astronauts are back. Let's have a look. You can see here, lands back into the atmosphere.
And we're on drogues.
Ooh, there you go.
And Houston, we're visual 2 drogues out the window.
That is coming fast. Holy.
2 good drogue shoots.
There she goes. There she goes.
Main shoot deploy.
Into the Pacific Ocean, I believe.
We're at 5,000 feet.
Houston, integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
There you go.
Splashdown confirmed.
Sploosh. There you go. So Artemis 2 is now back. The astronauts are safe. And now we got to talk about the Strait of Hormuz and everything that's surrounding it, because Iran said they would open the Strait, but they don't know where the mines are. That's what they've actually said. Hey, I'm terribly sorry, Habibi, but we don't know where the mines are. And then Trump announces that the U.S. will open the Strait of Hormuz with or without approval from Iran. Then the Pope is going on this, woke, like, kumbaya thing, saying hundreds of millions of people throughout the world are immersed in extreme poverty, and we all need to get along. To which so many people are saying, take a hike, buddy, take a hike. But the good news is that the odds of a recession this year have plummeted from 40% down to 22%. A 1 month low. And if there's anything that we can trust, it's the betting market, the poly market, or Kalshi, or whatever the hell this is. There's a lot of stuff going on, but no matter what quotes are taking a look at, no matter what the news is, it seems like the betting markets have figured it out. Then the Spanish Prime Minister calls for the European Union to suspend its trade agreement with Israel. Then Israel reportedly blocks France from joining direct talks with Lebanon. Then the Ugandan military chief announces that he's ready to deploy 100,000 Ugandan soldiers to defend Israel. And then the UK is preparing a plan to ready a whole nation for transition to war. U.S. forces are preparing for the possibility of failed negotiations with Iran, and the UK Foreign Secretary says the Strait of Hormuz must fully reopen without restrictions or fees. But the U.S. intelligence believes that reopening the Strait of Hormuz is unlikely anytime soon. But the UK armed forces are reportedly preparing for a new nation plan to ready the whole nation for war. To which Trump said earlier on Friday that the United States is prepared to take military action against Iran if upcoming negotiations in Pakistan fail, noting that American naval forces are being outfitted with advanced weaponry. And then President Trump had a press gaggle, so let's take a listen here and get off the quotes and listen to the people directly.
What did you tell him J.D. Vance before he left, sir?
Well, I wish him luck. He's got a big thing. We'll find out what's going on. They're militarily defeated, and now we're going to open up the Gulf with or without him. but that'll be open. We're going to be, or the Strait as they call it, and I think it's going to go pretty quickly. And if it doesn't, we'll be able to finish it off one way or the other. It's going well. The Navy's gone, the Air Force is gone, all anti-aircraft is gone, the leaders are gone, the whole place is gone. So we'll see how it turns out. So it's JD and Steve and Jared. They have a good team, and they meet tomorrow. We'll see how it all works out.
You're not going to let them toll the Strait, are you? I mean, it's international.
No, we're not going to let that. It's international water. If they're doing that, nobody knows if they're doing that. But if they're doing that, we're not going to let that happen.
So, nobody knows if they're actually tolling the Strait of Hormuz. I thought they were, because I thought they told us that they were, but apparently nobody knows. So, again, I mean, what else does President Trump have to say?
That we're not going to let that happen.
What would a good deal look like for you?
No nuclear weapon, number one. You know, I think it's already been regime change, but we never had that as a criteria. No nuclear weapon. That's 99% of it.
Strait of Hormuz as well?
Yeah, but that'll open up automatically. The answer is yes, but the Strait will open up. If we just left, the Strait's going to, otherwise they make no money. So the Strait's going to open. But what we have is no nuclear weapon, but we'll open the Strait anyway. Don't forget, we don't use the Strait. Other countries use the Strait.
That's right.
So we do have other countries coming up, and they'll help out, but we don't use it. It won't be easy. It won't be. I would say this: we will have that open fairly soon.
So one thing is for certain, America definitely has more capabilities, militarily speaking, than any other country on planet Earth. We've seen that time and time again. And now, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're being thrown all these different false flags and it's a coincidence. I think that this is done on purpose. I don't think President Trump is trying to make himself contradict himself on purpose, but I think that all this is done on the back end for them to buy time, because we don't really know what special forces are doing on the ground. We don't know what the CIA is doing over there. We have no real idea. But one thing is for certain throughout history: don't bet against the United States, because you're going to lose. The United States is the biggest economy, biggest military, the world police. The entire world only really functions the way it does today because of the United States. So if it does feel, which it does absolutely, like there's a lot of contradictions, like so there's a lot of conflicting information, it's open, it's closed, there's tolls, there's no tolls, up is down, down is up, 1 + 1 is 1. I think it's all by design. I don't think that it's a coincidence. I think it's meant to confuse not just you and me, but keep in mind, you have other country operatives that are trying to analyze the information that's happening, the mannerisms in which things are being said. And so if that is constantly being just thrown with all these smoke and mirrors, all these signals, that might be to the advantage of the United States and ultimately world peace.
Is this a one and done talk, or are you open to more talks after this, depending on
I don't know. I can't tell you. I have to see what happens tomorrow. They've been talking for 47 years with other presidents, and we're not doing much talking.
Not doing much talking, eh? Holy smokes. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that other countries are starting to gear up for war? Because, I mean, we saw the UK, Uganda, the US, and that probably means a bunch of NATO countries must be getting together for some sort of tactical movement, right? Well, here's what the Prime Minister of the UK had to say.
Well, the overarching impression here is the importance, as they see it, as us standing with them as an ally, as a friend of theirs, at a point of need. And there's been reflection on the work we've done with them over the last 6 to 7 weeks on collective self-defence. Here in Qatar, we've got a joint squadron. So a real sense of here we are as an ally, standing with our allies when it matters most to them. Obviously, the discussion moved very quickly to the ceasefire. a sense that it's fragile, that more work is needed, that the Strait of Hormuz has to be part of the solution, a very strong sense that there can't be tolling or restrictions on that navigation. And so we come away from here with a real desire on their part to work more closely with us on defence resilience, on economic resilience. That's really important to us because this is impacting us back at home on our economy, so it's very important that we do that together. It's a big opportunity as well for the United Kingdom. So it has been important that we've been here, and there's a sense here, as there is, I think, in the United Kingdom, that this conflict is going to define us for a generation, and we must respond, and we will respond with strength.
Yesterday you told ITV that you're fed up with families and businesses' energy bills going up because of the actions of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Did you take this up with the American president yesterday when you spoke to him, or have you in previous calls?
Well, I had a discussion with President Trump last night and set out to him the views of the region here. These Gulf states are the neighbours of Iran, and therefore, if the ceasefire is to hold, and we hope it will, it has to involve them. They have very strong views on the Strait of Hormuz. And we spent most of the time on the call talking about the practical plan that's going to be needed to get navigation through the Strait. And
I think it's total annihilation of the terrorist regime that controls the Strait. I'm just going out on a limb and saying that's what President Trump wants. That's what the American public wants. That's pretty much what the world kind of needs, right? Unless I'm missing something. I thought we were supposed to get rid of terrorists. At least that's what I thought.
Role that the UK is playing for a couple of weeks now. We've been pulling together a coalition of countries, now over 30 countries, working on a political and diplomatic plan, but also looking at military capabilities and actually the logistics of actually moving vessels through the Strait. So that was the focus of the discussion last night, reflection on what I've been discussing here, but also that focus on a practical plan in relation to navigation through the Strait.
I mean, you say you did bring up this issue of military capabilities. So did you raise with him his threats to pull out of NATO?
Well, we're very strong supporters of NATO, and I've been making the argument for some considerable time that we need to do more. It's the single most effective military alliance the world has ever known. Do we Europeans need to do more? Yes, I've been making that argument for the best part of 2 years to our European partners as much as anybody else. We continue to make that case, and we will make that case.
That is in America's interest as well, though.
It is in America's interest. It's in European interest. You know, NATO is a defensive alliance which for decades has kept us much safer than we would otherwise have been. So we're strong supporters of NATO. We'll always be stronger supporters of NATO. Do I think there should be a stronger European element to NATO? Yes, and I think we should step into that space. We're already doing it, which is why we're coordinating strategically with our partners in NATO.
Do you know what this means? This means that Starmer and other idiotic, woke world leaders got the call from President Trump and said something probably along the lines of, if you don't get your head out of your ass and start to support us the way I'm telling you, then you're screwed. Russia and China are coming for you. Hezbollah, Iran are coming for you. You better put up or shut up, pal. So they got the call. And, well, by what we just saw, yeah, he's being a good little boy and he's obeying President Trump. I don't want to see this escalate to the next level. I don't think anybody does. But it does seem like no matter what happens from these talks, that next level is inevitable, because I don't think that you'd have this much military action, this much military might, this much military movement, not just from the United States, but from other allied countries that have been so resistant on helping. 100,000 Ugandan soldiers? Uganda has a freaking military? What are we talking about here? UK is preparing soldiers to go into help fight Iran with the United States. I mean, this is the talks of a World War III. And I feel like it's already written in stone. So entertain me for a second as we close off this video. Pretend it already is written in stone. Pretend that it is inevitable, just like Thanos. I recently rewatched The Avengers. Sorry for that comparison. What do you think is going to happen on the other side? Who do you think is going to win? What do you think the world is going to look like? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a question I want to ask you as I end this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to reading the comments to seeing who can answer that one. Hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye for now.